All right, guys. Subject of the day. The worst couples in professional wrestling. Feel free to disagree with this list. You may think they're a wonderful couple. So at number 10, Booker T and Sharmell. WWE using real-life couple of Booker T and Sharmell on screen saw them each benefiting in their career. Booker winning King of the Ring and being renamed King Booker saw Queen Sharmell at his side. What do you think of this couple, gent?
Well, I love Booker, definitely. And Sharmell definitely got the rub from him. The King and Queen thing kind of ran its course with me, though. So I don't know. I'm pretty lukewarm with them, I'd say, anyway.
I can tell you this was my point of not watching WWE. This is when it was really starting to get geared towards that total PG era. There was nothing exciting happening. It wasn't fun. It wasn't exciting. I, at this point, took a break from wrestling. I couldn't stand that angle. So sorry. Queen Sharmell has no business being a Hall of Famer. Booker T does. Booker T was amazing.
Yeah.
Sharmell has no business being in the industry, period. Is that the dancer in, the backup dancer for what in WCW when they had that thing?
Nitro Girls.
Otherwise, no. Sorry. Yeah, Nitro Girls. That was it. But no. Otherwise, no. Period. No. She had no business being there, and she has no business being a Hall of Famer.
Benny?
How do you have a Sharmell as a Hall of Famer when you don't have Ivan Koloff? Somebody try to explain that to me. But
I'll explain it. I'll fight this one to the end of the day. Not particularly with Sharmell, but I had this argument with Jimmy. Stacy Keibler, I'm sorry, meant more to wrestling than Ivan Koloff. I hate to say it. She brought more attention to wrestling than Ivan Koloff ever would. Feel free to argue with me, guys.
Only because of the day. Could you if Ivan Koloff, Bruno Sammartino would have had the ability to be promoted like it would be today? No, absolutely not.
I mean, come on.
It's Stacy Keibler.
Ivan Koloff scored the most significant victory in the history of professional wrestling. He pinned Bruno Sammartino in the middle of the ring after an almost 8-year title reign. Everybody remembers that. Bruno said that he thought he had hearing damage because the Garden was so silent, and it was because people were just absolutely stunned, followed by many, many thousands of people sobbing because their hero, their idol, had lost the championship. That's how much it meant to these people. How can you compare that to a long pair of legs? Really? I mean, if we're going to compare wrestling
I like the legs
and ass, great legs. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, Ivan Koloff, come on, that's a sin. But Booker T, Harlem Heat, absolutely one of my favorites. King Booker and Sharmell, hell no.
Phil, what about my comments? Keibler or Koloff?
Well, George Clooney did have a man crush on Ivan Koloff at one point, so I can see where they'd be on equal footing.
Very good.
But and I do think if Stacy did the knee drop on Bruno, that he'd kick out. So she would have changed the course of wrestling there too. So
I understand what Koloff means to wrestling, but to shit on Keibler being in the Hall of Fame to me is a mistake. She brought lots of attention to pro wrestling, much more than Ivan Koloff did.
Nobody's shitting on her being in. The problem is the exclusion, is Koloff not being in.
So
nobody's begrudging her being in. It's ridiculous that somebody of that stature is not included in the Hall of Fame.
Well, do you think that it should be forgiven that Ivan Koloff held up Vince McMahon Sr. for money? Sooner or later you have to pay for your sins, right?
Jeff Jarrett held Vince up.
How many of these guys did did stuff. I mean, look, Warrior held up McMahon Jr. for tons of money, probably a lot more than Koloff held Senior up. But Warrior made the Hall of Fame. So it's you know.
But I think with Junior, go ahead, Phil. Sorry, Phil.
No, that's all right. I had heard that Koloff held up Vince Senior. Get this. This is 1971, mind you, but for $80,000. Okay, for
him
that match.
And Superstar Graham. Him and Graham.
Yeah. And Koloff supposedly put the cash in his boot before he went out there too. You know, those big boots. I don't know if he could fit 80,000 into a. He did have big boots, but you know.
I'd like to try.
But and I think that's the reason why he's not in right now.
And Benny brought up the Ultimate Warrior, right? He brought up the Ultimate Warrior. Junior decided to forgive Ultimate Warrior. It was a sin against himself. He decided to let it go. I think when it comes to your father, you don't know how that might have affected that family, how it might have affected Senior. And Junior might have said, you know what, I'm just not forgiving it.
I also think that Junior wanted to have very little to do with the men that built the company before he bought it. That's just my opinion.
How strong of a boss is Vince McMahon to be able to overlook how many times he got talked about or shunned by these wrestlers and still shook their hands and brought them back into the fold? I mean, that guy
Bruce,
really is.
Bruce, money changes everything.
I mean, yeah, but you have to
Cyndi Lauper song.
Show friends, it's show business.
What's that, Benny?
You got to give him the respect.
I said it's not show friends, it's show business.
Right, and if you're going to make him money, he's going to forgive it. But I think what you said, Benny, he didn't want to. Was it you that said that he didn't want to work with the older Senior guys?
I think that he preferred to put his focus on the stars that he created, because even now, like when they induct, like if they would induct a Spiros Arion now or one of those guys, they have that legacy thing, and they throw him a little crumb, whereas like a
because unfortunately for the four of us and maybe some of the family out there, they're not playing to us anymore. So to bring in an Antonio Inoki, do you think the modern day wrestling fan really knows who Antonio Inoki is? So how are you bringing attention to your Hall of Fame and having people buy tickets and tuning in if you're just going to bring these older stars? No one knows who they are except us.
I'm guilty of being a purist at the expense of money, and you're absolutely right. You brought it back home. It's it's never the storyline. It's always the bottom line, and that's what really counts. These owners they don't give a shit about what we think or how we feel. They're there, and rightly so. I mean, even the Yankees, my beloved Yankees, they're not going to really make many changes, even though the Yankees suck this year, because the Yankees made a shitload of money. As long as the Yankees make a shitload of money every year, they have no incentive to change.
Look what happened when they went with George Costanza's suggestion for cotton uniforms.
Right, exactly. There you go.
And Phil, you're aging yourself, because I guarantee no one knows what they're talking about right now either.
It's okay.
All right, I'm going to pick some of the list because we're running a little long in the tooth right now. John Cena, Nikki Bella.
Ugh.
That was the worst off-screen couple. I saw more of their off-screen stuff through that Diva show that they had on E. I wasn't a big wrestling fan at that point. I was kind of, a little bit distance, and oh god, that was horrible. And then it went up to the engagement, and then the non-engagement, and whatever. No, done. At that point, they were everywhere. You were getting them shoved down your face. Can't stand them.
One of the worst matches I've ever seen, and this is all I want to say about it, one of the worst matches I've ever seen is Ronda Rousey versus Nikki Bella. And Ronda had to make Nikki look competitive, and it really turned me off. It was, because, here's anybody with an IQ more than a hard-boiled egg knows that Ronda Rousey can squash this girl in, 1/8 of a second, and here they're having this competitive match, and yeah, By
the way, I was there live for that card, the all women's card at the Coliseum. That Rousey Bella match was pretty damn good. I got to be honest. I marked out at that.
It's a good shot right there.
It is. All right, next list. Who's up next? Lana and Rusev. Phil?
I liked him in WWE. The Rusev Day thing, and they had Aiden English for a while. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I think he was underutilized. He got this huge push initially. Didn't he go over Cena at one point?
In the beginning,
he used to have a first name too back in the day, Alexander Rusev, if you recall.
Exactly, and he just slowly they phased him out. And I mean, he really hasn't done much in AEW, but in WWE, I enjoyed them. Yes,
she brought a sex appeal.
Absolutely.
Good. I caught the end of their run in WWE. I didn't see the beginning. It was when I was coming back into wrestling. And I have to tell you, he seemed very dry. He seemed to have the wrong gimmick. They were not a great couple. They definitely deserve their place on the worst couples in wrestling.
Well, I like the fact that he had a real Russian accent or whatever it was, and she didn't. It was very apparent.
I just think I caught them at the wrong time. I think if I would have caught him earlier, I maybe would have appreciated him more. But at that point, he was already done.
All right, Tyson Kidd and Natalya.
Oh, they're still together.
They are,
and that says a lot too. And and she saw him through his broken neck, which I guess, I mean, that injury could have been fatal. I mean, it almost should have been, from what I've seen and what I've heard from him. He should have basically died on the spot there. But again, due to his conditioning, his thickly muscled neck, he not only that, he is fully mobile and no paralysis, nothing whatsoever. And smartly, he's staying away from ever competing again. But it just seems like a perfect wrestling couple with a great wrestling pedigree with them both. And
Phil, do you think Natalya is getting better looking as she gets older?
Oh, she's awesome. I think not only is a talent in the ring, as a performer, as everything. She definitely she ages well, and she's definitely very underrated, I'd say.
All right, next up, Naomi and Jimmy Uso. Bruce?
I actually don't really have an issue with this one. And you have to kind of respect that at this point. Naomi's had their issues. Jimmy hasn't. Naomi's had her issues with WWE, but it hasn't affected Jimmy's career because, if anything, when she walked out on WWE was the point of where he's gotten his biggest push into the bloodline. Don't necessarily consider them. I don't think they would be great on screen together, but they are what they are.
And by the way, she's at the big event this Saturday too. I feel the WWE is missing the boat. If they could bring her back and have her join the bloodline,
absolutely,
could be really good to the storyline. One thing I did want to bring up, in Bellas, it seemed like Rikishi had a problem with Jay marrying Naomi, if you remember that.
Didn't know that. What was his grievance?
I think his grievance is that she wasn't of the same ethnicity as his son. I mean, they don't come out and say it, but you could tell he wasn't happy.
Bottom
line, as long as they're happy, that's all that really counts.
No, absolutely. But I'm just, I thought it was, again, when it comes to these shows, you don't know if it's made up. They tell you to do something. Who the hell knows? Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch.
Well, who wears the pants in that family?
Okay, they take their fashion cues from Lady Gaga.
Okay.
I mean, I don't understand. Like, I don't get them. I think Seth Rollins is overrated. He's a great performer, whatever. And I'm amazed at the pop he gets. Becky Lynch, same thing. She's the man, whatever. I may not be a big fan of them, but for some reason they have something with these fans that brings them to that next level. I don't get it.
To me, they seem like they're a happy couple. I don't know why. They just give me that feeling.
I think they're weird.
Oh, thank you, Bruce. Good comment. All right, next up, Edge and Beth Phoenix.
Great couple. By all accounts, very normal couple. They have kids. They seem like very, very happy together. I mean, how could anybody find fault with these two?
No problem. Just retire.
Yeah, that part, yes. I mean, yeah, retire, though.
Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella.
Oof.
I like that.
I think we settled.
I have that same feeling. Something's wrong when a guy doesn't watch TV. I mean, I don't know how you can live your life without TV.
He doesn't?
No.
Wow.
He's Mr. Natural.
He eats vegan cupcakes. There's something wrong with you. If you're going to eat a cupcake, I mean, go full board.
And you know Brie really doesn't want to live that lifestyle. I don't even understand why. You know, one of the great scenes is when Cena, again, we're talking about total Bellas again, but when Cena goes to their house and he can't believe they live in that house. He's like, get me back to my mansion.
Right. In my 83 cars.
Exactly. Yeah. Very funny. All right, here's my power couple, Miz and Maurice.
Great couple.
Yeah.
What can you say bad about them? They you know.
All right, well, I'm going to run a question to you guys, right? And I understand that it's an age of social media. Maurice, beautiful woman, right? I don't think anyone's going to argue that, right? Miz is lucky to have her. But as a man, when you marry someone and there's a video out there of her 69ing some guy, it's like, how do you get over that?
That's tough.
I did not know that.
No, you learn it. Look at this. Phil's going to be looking it up the minute we get off the show.
I'm going to have to take a break. Yeah.
Mike, can you send me the link?
I was going to say, send us all the link after the show.
Is he a wrestler?
I have no idea. You don't see that part of him.
If they reverse it, is it a 96?
The actual video is her meeting some guy in an airport, right? They hug. You don't really see the guy, and then it goes to the hotel room where obviously he set up a camera and set her up, right? But I'm just thinking to myself, like, how does a guy get over that? Like, first of all, she's gorgeous, so there could be jealousy there. Not that the Miz would be jealous, but, you know, it's kind of rough.
AI, is it?
What's that?
It isn't AI. This came up before AI.
This is way before AI.
Okay. Can't use that excuse.
Wow, we're going to blame AI on everything now.
Wow.
I know.
It's pre-Miz, though, right, Mike? It is pre-Miz.
It is pre-Miz, yes.
Yeah, what are you going to do? I mean, everybody's, you meet somebody that, they have baggage. They have a history.
Well, but but it's like, I understand his baggage. But like Paige, for example, right? It's like, that's a lot of baggage for a partner to take on. That video is rough.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's like they're passing a hamburger around or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, let me ask you this, Phil. Would you date a girl that had a video out there like that? I'm putting Phil on the spot tonight.
Hell yeah! For a couple of days, absolutely. Fuck yeah!
I'm going. No, I'll take it.
Yeah, I might decline.
That would be all that would be going through my head.
My public statement is I'll decline. My private statement might be something different.
There you go. All right, our final couple before we call it a night: Triple H and Stephanie McMahon.
The King and the Princess.
Definitely married up.
What's that?
Triple H definitely married up. He married smart.
I mean,
great
they
job,
were married for 20-year marriage and 3 beautiful kids. What can you say?
Triple H, the richest wrestler ever.
I honestly think that Stephanie was brought up with really good morals, and I think same with Triple H. I think they're a good couple.
Absolutely.
If I had to guess, they're probably both A personalities, and I think there's probably a lot of arguing going on there for some reason. Just my guess.
Yeah.
Neither one of them would be what you would consider docile, so I would agree with you on that.
You know, in fact, I've heard that they were going to get divorced a few times, and again, everybody gets divorced. I get it, but
and everybody argues. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I mean, if I had to judge of all those couples I named, obviously, Cena and Nikki aren't together anymore. Of those couples, which one do you think gets along the best?
Ooh.
Booker and Sharmell.
Ooh, yeah. Phil?
Yeah, maybe. They've been out of the spotlight for a while, probably more so. Yeah. Standing the test of time.
I'm gonna agree with you. I think it's a 4-way agreement here. I think that couple gets along. I think Booker T's a really good guy, and I think Sharmel's really got a class act.
Yep.